Okay guys, welcome back. Today we are going to do factoring trinomials. So please focus, pay attention. Most of the questions will be easy. The other one's a little bit hard, but not that hard. So let's begin with the questions. So question number 1 is factor the following one. Well, this is the hardest question you're going to get in this course. So it's good that we start with the hard one so you can be focused. So let's see how it's done. I hope you can see it. So we have this expression, 6g squared plus 11g minus 35. This is a trinomial. Now we need to put this expression, this trinomial, in parentheses the way you see here. How do you put it? Let's start with the beginning. The beginning is that you need to find the values of a, b, and ac. So a, b, and ac. A is the coefficient of the first one, which is 6, g squared. B is the coefficient of g, which is 11. And ac, this is c, negative 35, you multiply it times 6. So negative 35 times 6 is negative 180, 210. Negative 210. Yes, negative 210. Now now you ask yourself the magical question. The magical question is that you need two numbers. If you add them, you get 11. But if you multiply them, you get negative 210. Again, if you add the two numbers, you get 11. But if you multiply them, you get negative 210. What are these two numbers? I would say if we have 21 minus 10. 21 minus 10. So the two numbers are 21 minus or plus minus 10 equals 11. And if you multiply them, you get negative 210. So these are the two numbers. These are the two numbers, 21 and negative 10. Okay? Now what do? You rewrite the main expression, the trinomial. How do you rewrite it? The 6g squared stays the same. Okay? The 11g, you use the numbers that you found. So it's going to be, instead of writing 11g, it's going to be plus 21g, okay, minus 10g, and c stays the same, negative 35. Okay? I didn't change the main expression. The first one stayed the same, 6g squared. The one in the middle, the 11g, I wrote it down using the numbers that I found. 21g minus 10g, which is 11g, the same thing, negative 35. Now, why did I do that? So I can group them. So I can group the first two and group the second two. And that's factoring by grouping. So, in this case, we need to take out the GCF between 6g squared and 21g. We need to find the greatest factor, the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor in this one is 3, and of course the g. Open parentheses, it's going to be g plus 7. Because 3g times g is 6g squared, and 3g times 7 is 21g, times 2g. Because 2 times 3 is 6. Minus 10g minus 35, the same thing. The greatest common factor in this case is minus 5. Open parentheses. So it's going to be, or let's put plus 5 would be better. Yes. Oh, minus 5. So it's going to be 2g plus 7. The same thing. 2g times negative 5 is negative 10g. 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. So the answer would be, so now what's the common factor between these two expressions? The 2g plus 7, 2g plus 7. So you take out the common one, which is 2g plus 7. And the outside numbers or the outside terms are the 3g and the negative 5. So it's going to be 3g minus 5. And this is the answer. And this is the answer. The answer is 3g minus 5, the second one. I know it's a little bit long, but once you practice, I'll do one more, you'll find how easy it is. So let's go to the second one. This is the hardest question you're going to get, okay? Let's skip this one in the meantime. Now this one, they are using a variable. The same thing, guys, there's no difference. You just do it step by step, slowly. So let's think, we have k squared plus 5kf minus 50f squared. Okay? So, as we know, we have 3 steps. The first step, we need to find the value of a, the value of b, the value of c. In this case, as you can see, we have k and we have f. So of course we choose the variable from the first one because it's k squared, so the variable is k squared. The f, it's like a number. It's like a number. We can't have 2 variables. So a is 1 because we have 1k squared, right? B, it's how much? 5f because f is just like a number. AC, remember we multiply a times c, but it doesn't matter now because it's 1, so it's going to stay the same thing. It's going to be negative 50f squared. Remember, f is a number. The variable is k, okay? Now we need to think of 2 numbers. If you add them, you get 5f, but if you multiply them, you get negative 50f squared. And the 2 numbers are 10f minus 5f. If you subtract them, or you add them, which is there's addition between them, it's going to be 5f. And if you multiply 10f times negative 5f, it's going to be negative 50f. F squared, of course, because f times f is f squared. So the 2 numbers that I found are 10f and negative 5f. In this case, it's even easier than the first question. Why? Because a is equal 1. When a is equal 1, we can immediately write the parentheses. Okay? We don't have to do the grouping, the factoring by grouping. So how much is the first the variable that we want? It's k. So k times k is k squared. And the other numbers are the numbers that you found, or the terms that you found. It's 10f minus 5f. Minus 5f, sorry, my handwriting. And that is it. That's the answer. Plus 10f minus 5f, the first one. Now let's go to the second one. Now this is one of the easiest questions that I told you. You know, some easy, some a little bit some. So this is one of the easiest. We have this one. So we have x squared minus 1x minus 42. Okay? The same thing. We need a, b, and ac. A, we have 1x squared, so it's going to be 1. B, we have negative 1x, so it's going to be negative 1. And AC, it's going to be 1 times 42, or negative 42, so it's going to be the same thing. So now you need 2 numbers. If you add them, you get negative 1. But if you multiply them, you get negative 42. The 2 numbers are negative 7 plus 6, which is negative 1, and negative 7 times 6, which is negative 42. Now we found the 2 numbers. The 2 numbers are negative 7 and positive 6. So in this case, we need to put 2 parentheses because we need to factor. The variable is x, because x times x is x squared. And you put in the other 2 numbers that you found, minus 7 plus 6. And this is the answer. So in this case, the answer is the third one. The third one. Let's remember, guys, the magical question, if you add them, you get B, but if you multiply them, you get A, C. Now this one, he gave you the parentheses, so this makes it easier. We just need to fill in the missing number. So we have z squared minus 9z minus 90 times z minus 6 plus something. So we said if we multiply them, the numbers, the n, negative 6 times something, okay, that's only the numbers. Negative 6 is just the number by itself. And we need to multiply times the number that give us negative 90. Which number we multiply will give us negative 90? It's of course the 15. So 15 times negative 6 is negative 90. So it's going to be z plus 15. So the answer is the first one. And you can just factor it step by step until you get the answer. Let's factor it. Z squared plus 9z minus 90. Again, guys, how to factor a trinomial? We find the value of a, the value of b, the value of a times c. The value of a is 1 because we have 1z squared. The value of b is 9 because we have 9z. And the value of ac, it's negative 90. Now, two numbers, if you add them, you get 9. But if you multiply them, you get negative 90. Of course, we already know that it's the 15 and the 6. So if you add them, you get 9. But if you multiply them, you get negative 90. Negative 6 and 15. So it's going to be negative 6 plus 15. It's going to be 9. And negative 6 times 15, it's going to be negative 90. So that's it. Because a is equal 1, you can do the parentheses immediately. The beginning is z, because z and z is z squared. And the numbers that you found is negative 6 and plus 15. So it's going to be negative 6 plus 15. As you can see, 15 will work. But you didn't have to do all of this. You could have just said 6 times how much gives you the 90, and it's the 15. Let's solve this one. This one is like the hard one, the first one that we did. So we have 15x squared minus 16xy plus 4y squared. The same thing, guys. Of course, the variable is the one with the s squared, which is x. The y, we act like it's just a normal number. So a, b, and of course a times c. So a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 15. B is negative 6, there's y here, sorry. Negative 16y. AC, it's 4 times 15, 40, 60, which is 60y squared. Now you need two numbers. If you add them, you get negative 16y, but if you multiply them, you get 60y squared. So the two numbers are the negative 10y, of course, plus minus 6y, okay, which is going to be negative 16y, okay, and if you multiply the same number as negative 10y times negative 6y, okay, it's going to be 60y squared. That's it. Of course, in this case, it's going to be the long way because a is not equal to 1. But now you know that it's negative 10y and negative 6y. So, let's go and do it. So, y is 16x without the square here. Perfect. Good. Now, let's do it. So, the first one stays the same, 15x squared. We have to factor by grouping. The negative 16xy, we use these two. So, it's the negative 16y, we use these two. So, these two are, we have negative 10y. Of course, don't forget the x. And we have the negative 6y also x. If you add them, you get the same number, negative 16xy plus 4y squared. Now all you need to do is you take the first two and the last two. So in this case, you take out the 5 and the x. okay? And you open parentheses. So it's going to be 5x times how much gives you 3x squared? It's going to be 3x. 5x times how much gives you negative 10y? It's going to be negative 2y. The same thing here. The common factor, or the greatest common factor, is, in this case, it's 2y. So it's going to be plus 2y plus, or let's take the minus 2y, so it would be better. So it's going to be 3x plus or minus 2y. So now, as you can see, we have the same parentheses. This is the common factor. So it's going to be 3x minus 2y times the outside numbers are the 5x and minus 2y. 5x minus 2y. And that's the answer. 5x minus 2y times 3x minus 2y. This is the answer. This is the longest question you can have, but as you can see, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's no difference. This is one of the easiest questions. We did one of them. Let's do it. Let's do it. Got nothing to lose. Guys, please focus and pay attention. All the questions are the same. So for example, if you have k squared plus kf minus 2f squared. Remember, it's always repeats the same steps. The first step, you need to find the value of a, the value of b, and the value of a times c. A, the coefficient of k squared is 1. Of course, in this case, the k is the variable, and the f is the number. So, the coefficient of k is how much? It's f. That's the number that's multiplied times the variable. And AC, of course, it's 1, so it's going to be negative 2f squared. So two numbers, if you add them, you get 1. But if you multiply them, you get negative 2f squared. So it's going to be negative 2f plus 1f, or plus, sorry, the opposite. Plus and the minus here. And the minus here. So 2f minus 1f is going to be f. And 2f times negative 1f, it's going to be negative 2f squared. And that is it. Now, because a is 1, we can immediately factor the trinomial. The variable is k. So k times k will give you k squared. And the numbers that you found are 2f minus 1f. So it's plus 2f minus 1f. I'll do one more, guys. I'll do one more. This is one of the easy questions. We didn't do a lot of the easy questions, so let's do one more of the easy one. And that is it for this assignment. So, factor the expression w squared plus 18w plus 77. The same thing, the first thing you need to do is that you found the values of a, b, and c. So a, b, and c, or ac. So a is 1, b is 18, and ac is 77. The question is, find two numbers. If you add them, you get 18, but if you multiply them, you get 77. Of course, it's 11 plus 7 equals 18, and 11 times 7 equals 88. If you add them, 77. 77. Of course, if you add them, you got 18, but if you multiply them, you got 77. Now, you put them in parentheses. You can do that because a is 1. So, the variable is w. Because w times w is w squared. The numbers that you found is 11 and 7, so you add 11, you add the 7, and that is the answer. And that is it for the trinomial factor. Okay guys, if you have any questions, remember, email me or call the school to get my email if you don't have my email. Have a great day.